Tonight is the kickoff. It's the start of a new series. I've chosen the topic and I've called it Reframes for Soulful Living. Because I really genuinely believe that some of these classes that we'll do over the next few weeks, some of the topics we'll do together, and what I like to try and engender in these classes is like a sense of everyone should be able to feel free to give in their insights. This isn't me standing up here and talking down or telling you what I know and you don't. I think you'll probably have far more insights than I will even have. You'll have many things that you want to share, and I would love to encourage everyone here to feel that this is a space where you can bring in your insights as well. But specifically on this topic, which I've called the reframe. It's called the reframe. The reframe being that I'm also a psychotherapist. I trained as a psychotherapist and I qualified just over 3 years ago. So I work with specifically young, and it comes up again and again, not just with the young men I work with, but also some of the couples and in terms of relationships. And when I reflect on my own life as well, these skills of reframing is probably the most vital and most helpful gift that we can have to be able to take difficult situations, hardships, problems, bumps in the road, challenges, and be able to reframe them and understand them from a new perspective, a different perspective. And what I want to do is in each of these 6 weeks that we go through together, all the weeks we go through together, is the aim is that we will go through 6 different lessons, 6 different specific sources that will actually develop this. So it's not just about, we all know, I'm sure everyone at this table, yeah, we all know that it's good to reframe, it's good that things go wrong. You know, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Everyone knows the one, right? So it's quite simplistic, Rabbi. Why do you need to make a whole 6-part series out of it? Well, the reason is because I want to share 6 really cool lessons that come out from Tanakh, that come out from the Bible, that come out from the sages, come out from like literally over 2,000, nearly 3,000 years of our amazing Jewish tradition has so many incredible messages that I want to share with it. Each week will be themed, each week's got something specific, and I will go through with my source sheets, we'll go through them together. These are your source sheets to have forever for you to keep hold of, and they're yours, and we will develop those concepts so that when you come to some of these, whether it's a parsha in the Torah, whether it's an episode of the Torah, whether it's a chag, whether it's one of the festivals, you'll be able to say, oh wow, I've got something really amazing to share about life and about, you know, psychology and about how to live a more healthy and nourishing existence and how to be able to roll with the punches and live a more sort of a fulfilling life because I've seen it inside. Because I want to just, that's my role, is to try and find these sources and bring them to you so you've got them yourselves. I mean, if I ask you now off the bat, because you're all super intelligent people, like, can you give me an example of something in either the Torah or in the Bible or something you're aware of that could be a good example of a really good reframe? And then I'm kind of familiar when I say what the word reframe means. In fact, let's start with that. When I say the word reframe, what does that mean to you? What does that, when I say you can reframe, what does that mean in your mind? When I say like you're going a hard time or something difficult in life, you can reframe it. What does reframing mean to you? Turn to the person next to you. You've got 1 minute to discuss. Your time starts now. It has ended, and we're back in the room. And okay, go. Who's going first? Arnold and Andy. Yes. What does reframing mean to you?
Looking at things in a different way, a different perspective.
Okay.
Arnold said something very nice. The closer you get to something, it's smaller, the more you stand back, it looks bigger.
That's nice, having to step back. That's cool. I like that. Debbie, yeah, and Susanna.
Well, mine was very simplistic. Just change the picture.
Nice. Just change it. Don't just reframe it. Pull it out. Just change it completely. And back again.
Totally. Susanna's was more in depth.
Go on, let's hear.
Just if terms of a frame can be the size of something. Like if you look back, you're driving, you've got a rear view mirror, it's small. If you look ahead, you've got a great big windscreen, it's huge. So that's sort of reframing.
Right, that's interesting. No, like there's different. Some things seem bigger and some seem smaller, and you can. That's almost like what you're saying from perspective. Great. Let's go to Andy, to Sherry and Bobby. Bobby hasn't introduced himself, but this is Bobby. We'll introduce himself later.
Yeah, it was similar. You know, seeing from a different perspective.
Yeah.
But also, as an artist, I actually literally reframe things. I might change it, I might work on a different size, or on my paintings.
Beautiful. I want to come back to that later about how putting the different frame might let you see the painting differently. Is that the case? Is that the case?
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking, because Sherry is an artist. She is actually a bona fide artist. And so that is really cool. I didn't think about that. We'll come back to that later. Simon and Mark, over to you. The cameras are on. The cameras are rolling.
Seeing something from a different angle. If
Okay.
it's a negative, then seeing it as potentially as an opportunity or a positive.
Beautiful. Love it. Simon, same thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
a holistic approach or a symptomatic approach.
Okay, cool. Wonderful. Hannah and Brian?
Yeah, I shared the same, like change your perspective. And then when Sherry shared about artist point of view, I'm thinking in Chinese we say 30% depends upon how the painting has been done, 70% depends upon how you frame it. It's that important. So I think maybe coming back to her point.
Wow. And the frame isn't actually telling you a story, but it's actually setting everything up. And I think that's what we're going to be focusing on completely this series. It's not actually what's happened, it's how we've told ourselves, what we're telling ourselves about it. Exactly. And Brian, you were similar, Brian? Or?
Well, we're more or less agreed, actually.
Good. No need to reframe that, that's fantastic. And Ben and Benji, the two Bs.
I see it like as a navigational tool to maintain a light perspective. So you're just shifting yourself around depending on what's happening to kind of get that glint, as it were. And then we talked about
Almost like repositioning, as you would say, like from a navigational thing that they say, you're repositioning your place on the map almost.
Yeah, or reposition your perspective so that you're framing it so that you're looking at it that way. If that makes sense. So you're moving the frame around relative to what's going on, so you can kind of see that.
Yeah, you know, there's a really famous line from Rabbi Nachman of Breslev. He says that even a small coin can obscure the highest mountain in the world. It's like such a really powerful point. Like if you stand there, and I did it just for, I once made a video because I like doing that kind of shtick. I was in France in the Alps, and there was Mont Blanc. So of course it. And there's Mont Blanc, and I took out a little coin, and I did like, and there's Mont Blanc, and here's a little coin. And the coin has, you can't see Mont Blanc anymore because of the coin. You know that. He was saying it more because of like materialism can cloud your judgment, but it's true. Like someone's just like putting something in your eye here, and you don't see. It's the greatest thing in the world. If your glasses are blurry, you won't see it. If you're something in your way, you can't see it. So reframing, taking off and moving and seeing differently. Ben?
Yeah, that reframing, looking from different perspective, but I also took it from the point of actually changing the meaning and the outcome.
Okay. Explain.
Because when you're framing, you're interpreting it in a certain way, and when you're reframing it, you reinterpret it in a different way, and therefore your own outcome from your interpretation can be different.
Yeah, beautiful. It's interpreting, and I want to go on to that point. I want to start that. So let me pound out these source sheets, and like I say, the aim for those who are first-time listeners, long-time callers, just know that the aim of the game isn't to read through the whole source sheet and like go to the end and switch off. Go with me, go on the journey with me. It's one sheet each. I try and maintain this should be one sheet so it's not like too messy. I'll also be sharing this on the WhatsApp group that we're all on. There should be this lot. There's plenty more. There you go, yeah. Okay. And we'll get kicking off. Robbie, can I just ask you, do you have a watch or something? Or do you think it's just that I have managed to like step out of that? Or just click that. Okay, so I wanted to show, the first thing I wanted to show, which is quite fascinating actually, is that Rashi, the very beginning of the Torah in Bereshit, already starts to kind of point towards the idea of the reframe. And he says, interesting enough, that the word to comfort in Hebrew, we talk about nechama, nichum. Have you heard that expression before? Nechama, nichum avelim. A nechama, you've heard that expression? Lenachem, menachem. What does this word nechama come from? What does it mean to comfort? I actually gave a class here on Tisha B'Av. If anyone was here, I don't know if anyone was here. I gave a class here on Tisha B'Av about the Jewish idea of comforting. When you go to a shiva house and you are comforting a person, what does it mean to comfort? What's the Jewish idea of comforting? So Rashi says at the end of Parshas Bereshis, the end of Bereshis, you guys remember what happens? Right before the flood, everything seems to have gone wrong. The people are completely misbehaving. There's sexual misbehavior, there's stealing, everything's gone absolutely. And the pasuk says in source B, "V'yenachem Hashem ki asay et ha'adam ba'aretz v'yit'atzev libo." In English, and Hashem regretted having made humankind on earth and was sad to his heart. The word is vayinachem. That's what it is. Vayinachem. That's strange. Vayinachem seems to be meaning comforting, but here it's in the context of Hashem saw what happened and somehow regretted. Rashi, the famous French commentator in source C, tells us that vayinachem means ne'apcha machshavto shel makom. He changed his perspective. And he says throughout, I won't go through throughout the Bible, throughout Tanakh, anytime you see the word vayinachem, it means you changed your perspective. Shem somehow changed his perspective from it was going to go this way and now we'll be going this way. That means, by the way, the role of comforting is to be able to be there in presence of someone who's going through a difficult time, and to be able, even sometimes just by standing there, to be able to know that the role of comforting is to help someone see something from a new perspective. Not that you're going to come up with the wise idea or you're going to be able to say the thing that's going to take them out of a depressed state, but rather that they can say, oh, I've got friends, I've got support, I've got people around me, it's not so difficult. I'm going through like a really hard time right now, but there are people around me, I'm not alone through this. That's part of what nichum avelim means, to comfort somebody, because you see people around you. Comforting is seeing from a new perspective. I often quote a friend of mine. He comes to sometimes Paul Martin, the journalist who was held hostage in Gaza, and he told me, we spoke once about it. He said that when he was this is already many years ago, he was a hostage in Gaza. He was kidnapped by Hamas, and he said that he was obviously quite distraught at first, and he said that actually there was one moment where it was Shabbat afternoon. He knew it was Shabbat afternoon, and he got some dates and he had some food and he was eating, and he suddenly felt this like closeness to Hashem that he'd never felt before. And he said he had this new perspective of that maybe he's in this difficult place for a reason, and he was able to change his perspective, and that was his nechama moment. By the way, I've actually brought on the second page. Someone sent me just yesterday 5 different images of some of the hostages that have just been released from that were just released on Sukkot. All of them saying similar quotes to this, which this one basically says, this is Rom Braslavsky, the hostage that was released, and he's saying here, the only thing that gave me strength was knowing that everything done to me was simply because I was a Jew. It made me realize that we are truly different. We must return to being a united people, to keep mitzvahs, to understand what it means to be Jewish. But he said there in Gaza, he was. You would never say to someone, oh, I'm sure if you were held captive by Hamas, you would have amazing insights. Of course I wouldn't. I would never. I would be absolutely distraught. But we're seeing once again so many of the hostages released saying they had these moments of closeness. There's another quote from one of the hostages saying he felt so close to God in Gaza that he misses that. He misses the closeness that he had to Hashem. And I don't think he was a religious person necessarily when he went into Gaza. So these are moments of vayinachem, of comforting, seeing something from a new perspective, seeing something differently. This is obviously a very, very Jewish idea of reframing. I've got here the quote. This is actually, I brought the quote from Psychology Today, where I had to ask about reframing. And I'd like to thank actually Benji Tucker, who's a first-time caller, who actually volunteered to read Source D for us, which is really kind of him. And it's quite brave because he's only first time here. But he actually said, Rabbi Dov, I'm happy to read him the first time. So they're really cool, Benji. I'm pretty impressed. Source D.
Reframing requires seeing something in a new way, in a context that allows us to recognize and appreciate positive aspects of our situation. Reframing helps us to use whatever life hands us as opportunities to be taken advantage of rather than problems to be avoided. Breakdowns are transformed into challenges and new possibilities to experience life more fully and to become a more whole human being. Reframing is not a denial that the challenge that we have been dealt is a difficult one. Even though our circumstances may be fraught with hardship, we can learn to trust the cycles of life. We discover that this is a process of life that repeats itself, as do the cycles of summer, fall, winter, and then rebirth in spring.
Yeah, I think it's a very nice sort of short, sharp definition. It doesn't mean that everything's great and everything's fine and dandy and everything's perfect and it's amazing. But the ability to reframe is to say, I'm whatever situation right now, there is something to learn here, there's something to grow with here. There's deeper meaning, and I'm able to see it from a new perspective. I'm able to live with that new perspective. You know, I'll just put this. I'll give just a perfect example because this is the first week we're living through now of winter clock. You know, got dark early today. You know, yesterday as well, and you know we start to really feel it. It's like, oh, it's cold outside, and the trees are starting to get bare. And you know, I'd be very honest with you, I used to get very just get quite depressed this time of year. Like, I love the summer. I love being outside. I was super outdoors. You know, and England unfortunately means that you can go outdoors, but I don't like the cold. So it's not great for me. I don't love cold weather. So, you know, the clock's going back. It means like you're gonna have to retreat. And I used to that Sunday morning when you wake up after having turned the clock back, it was always this heavy feeling. I'll be honest with you, something I had. And then one year, I just remember as I was kind of preparing to change the clock, I stopped and said to myself, like, I don't know, like, just because it's going to be darker and it's going to be colder, does that necessarily mean it's going to be a more difficult part of my life? Like, is that definitely true? Is that, or maybe there's opportunities that will come because it's winter, because I'll be, you know, the longer Friday nights are much more fun actually in the winter with the family. We get more time together. And I started just being able to see it from a new perspective, in a new way that, you know, all the trees that are bare, yes, it doesn't look so nice. I love that feeling when you walk down the street and the trees are full of leaves and you hear the rustling of leaves. And I do find that the bare trees that you look at aren't as appealing. Definitely, you know, you know, you see the sticks of the trees. They don't look as appealing as a tree full of leaves. But I went to the forest where we did the forest stuff. I went there 2 years ago, maybe it was autumn. And I heard the noise. It sounded like it was raining, but it wasn't raining. It was the sound of all these seeds that were falling to the ground. And I literally thought it was rain. It was like, it was quite a lot. And I looked around and I saw that these seeds were falling down. I realized that like the life for next spring is falling now. All the leaves that are falling on the ground are going to fertilize the soil, and we're going to grow new trees and new plants and new grasses. And you tap into that for a moment, you're like, wow, like this is amazing. It's there's life happening right now. Don't have to wait till the summer, but life is happening right now. So this is examples of just being able to take a difficult moment and to reframe it, instead of running away from it, instead of like sort of cursing it, but actually accepting it and going with it and actually growing with it as well. And what I want to do in these classes is kind of find, like I say, certain places in our tradition, in Tanakh or in the Torah, or in our sages, that actually bring this point out more. And I think there's no greater one than the one I'm going to teach you tonight. Because tonight, class 1, I've called it, I was sent, not sold. I was sent, not sold. This is probably the most, I think this is one of the most powerful notions that I've come across, certainly over all my years. The idea of I was sent, not sold. Hold my hand. I have to explain to you what I'm talking about. Because it all comes through the story of Joseph, of Yosef, okay? And we're familiar with it because obviously it's one of Mark's favourite, shows, Joseph the Technicolor Dreamcoat. I went to see it back in 1993, maybe with Jason Donovan, did a great job as Joseph. He was very good, Jason Donovan. I mean, obviously because growing up with neighbours. Everyone else watched this? Only Ben, maybe. Ben, you watched as well. Okay, so Joseph, we know the story. Okay, let's build up just a little bit so you can get even more of the context. You know, when he's born into a family whereby his mother, Rachel, is the favored mother, and therefore there's already some sort of a divide between him and the other sons, the sons of Leah and the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah. His mother dies when he's young. The brothers berate him. He also seems to not fit in properly. He's doing certain things that are strange. He also, according to some opinions, like tells stories to the father, to Jacob, about the brothers, and he definitely there's a big divide between him and his other brothers. But the seminal moment is really when he goes out to find his brothers in the field. And what happens, guys? What happens next? He goes out to find his brothers and
they put him in a pit.
Okay, right, they take him, they capture him, they rip off his coat of many colours, dip it in the blood, and he is sold. He is sold into slavery. He's sold forever. And it seems to be like by being sold, Debbie, is as good as being killed, essentially, in those days. It wasn't like they had, tracker systems where they were like, kind of barcode you and you like know where you were at any given time. If you were sold into slavery in ancient Egypt, didn't look so good, right? For your future prospects. If you look at source E, I mean, the words are very clear. Source E tells you that they use the word soul, right? Thank you so much, Simon, for agreeing to read source source E. Source E.
Source E.
Yeah.
Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, but let us not do away with him ourselves. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh. His brothers agree.
Okay, that was right. Yehuda's idea was like, what's the point of killing him? He's still our brother, right? Let's just sell him. We should sell him now. So they sell him to the Ishmaelites. Okay, and then when the Midianite traders come by, find out if it's Midianites they sell him to. What happened next, Simon?
They passed by. They pulled Joseph out of the pit. They sold Joseph for 20 pieces of silver to the Ishmaelites who brought Joseph to Egypt.
Okay, we see very clearly that he is now sold into slavery. Now let's freeze frame here for a moment and let's pretend we're interviewing Joseph. Okay, he's going down to Egypt. He's in a camel, but he's in like some sort of camel train. Okay, and you would pause at that moment and you would ask Joseph how he's feeling. Live, vlog from the camel. What's he saying? Betrayal.
Almost cowardice. They didn't have the guts to kill him. They just abandoned him.
Abandonment. Perfect. What else? There's going to have to be, sure, sadness. He's basically his mother, who he loved, has died. His dad sent him, by the way, to the brothers. That was a very dangerous thing. Maybe he's questioning, why did his dad do that? Why did his dad put him in a situation of such danger? He is also, I was about to say, fearful for the future. What's going to happen next? Okay, and there could be a whole story that he'll be telling himself about his life, because it's like quite common. All these things have happened to him. There's a whole story that you can start telling yourself. The reason why this happened, and that I'm the loser. I'm the one who's been picked on for so many years. We can find ourselves having a story that we tell ourselves. This is why these things happen. But this is really common. Like I can tell you now, like there's so many people that come and see me, that oftentimes what like emerges from the conversations is that people have a story that they've told themselves about their life. It's a narrative, right? I'm the one who always, loses out, or I'm the one who always is ignored, or I was the one who, growing up in the family, this happened to me or that happened to me, and therefore it makes sense that these things should be happening, that these events should be happening to me, because I'm the one, who's the loser, who's the one who I did something wrong maybe when I was 18 and now I'm being punished for it. Or there's a whole story, a whole narrative, a whole thing that people buy into, that have locked themselves into, especially in relationships as well, that this is like the way it works. This is the story of our life. This is the way things go. And therefore it's unsurprising that, fill in the blanks.
I say it as a negative tape playing.
Yeah, beautiful.
Try and turn the volume down and have that positive tape reframing.
Lovely. That's I did. I have a guy. I saw him just the other day. And he's literally got this negative feedback loop, and it's constantly going around. And that this is what's happened. This is the story. The story is that this thing happened to him, and he'll always be the second best, and he'll always. Therefore, it makes sense that he's not married and the other one is married. All these different things that he's told himself about life, and. I tell him something that I heard from someone called Rabbi Jacobson, who's a great rabbi whom you may have heard of. Listen to this, it's incredible. He makes an amazing observation that he didn't, he's not a zoologist, so he didn't make the observation. Someone must have told him this, but listen, it's amazing. He says that when animals, I've actually been lucky enough to go to safari. I mean, that's Andy's old country back in the old days in South Africa. Right, I went a few times. And what's amazing is, right, that you've got an impala or what have you. They've shown clips of an impala that gets attacked by a lion. And what happens is, right, the lion pounces, and they have a whole fight. Occasionally, they get to escape, right? They get to run away, or they kick the lion, or what have you. They get to run away and get to safety. So they actually wanted to know, what does the impala do when it actually finds itself safe? It's being attacked by the lion. What does it do? Anyone know? What do these animals? Doesn't mean a impala. It could be. Look, come on, Andy, let's go through. It could be a wildebeest. It could be a boerewors. It could be a That was a joke. The boerewors is a sausage. I knew that. I was just seeing. And I didn't know the boerewors was a sausage. I happen to like it very much. My wife doesn't like me eating it, but I like eating them. What do they do? I don't know what animal does once it's been attacked.
Has a l'chaim.
Has a l'chaim, nearly. What does the animal do? It's safe. It's been attacked, and they David Attenborough and all his crew will video it, and they can prove it. So you can fact check it afterwards. What do these animals do once they've escaped from the lion's clutches? Now, if the lion was a human, Bobby Bray on line 3. If the lion was a human, what would the lion? Oh, sorry. If the impala was a human, Bobby Bray on line 3, what would the impala say to itself? Guess.
I'm going to procreate.
Okay, maybe. I'm going to procreate. What else is it? No. What would it do if it was a human being? The impala would do what, Arnold? What would it do?
I don't know. Maybe thinking it was close. I'm lucky.
Yeah, it's not.
Go to its family.
Go to the family. Yeah. What else?
Bench combo.
Bench combo. That's the best. Very true, Auntie. I love that. Beautiful. Stunning. That's the best answer.
Keep others.
If you're Jewish, you'll have something to eat.
Yeah, that's true. Have something to eat. Comfort food. Drink a cup of coffee. I think more than that. I think that from a psychological point of view, it would start telling itself a story. And it would make meaning, because we're meaning-making animals, right? We like to make meaning. So it would kind of start to make a meaningful story about why of all the animals that were there that day, that it was the one that was attacked. And it would start saying, well, it didn't attack, Bobby, not you, sorry, that's probably the wrong word. It didn't attack Humphrey, and it didn't attack Susanna. It didn't attack Humphrey, and it didn't attack Lucinda, the other impalas in my crew. It attacked me. Why did it attack me? Because that's something about me. There's a reason why. Maybe it's because I lied when I was 17, to quote a song by Travis. Maybe it's because I'm ugly. Maybe it's because I'm overweight. Maybe it's because I just stick out like a sore thumb, and of course it would have gone for me. Maybe it's like God punishing me. Maybe it's like the whole reason of a story as to why this thing happened.
Because of a weakness.
Because of a weakness, because there's something, I've got a story I've told myself about my life, and that's the reason why a lion attacked me. And then it will probably end up feeling quite depressed and sad, and then it will feel anxious, and then it might start overeating grass or over drinking water or what have you. But it would start to try and escape from that story through different things, and then just fall back. Basically, it's because animals, because human beings fall into this idea of telling a story about their lives, telling a story about themselves. But what do animals do, Simon? Do you know what they do? They don't do that because they don't have brains like us. So they don't tell a story about themselves. Do you know what they do? They follow them, and they found Arnold that they go to a safe space and make sure they're okay, and then they shake their body. They viscerally take all of the fear and stress, and they shake it out. Shake it up. They shake it up, on, off. And then they go back to eating grass again like they were like 10 minutes ago, before the whole thing started. They just go back to eating again. Now, yes, you're right. You say, okay, well, the impala doesn't have the context that we have about the lions. It just knows there's danger and knows it ran away from danger. That's what it knows. It doesn't have a whole full context of what the Serengeti plain is. It doesn't know the full thing. It doesn't get it, right? But ultimately, it goes to a place, shakes out the danger, shakes out the fear, and then it's going back to eating grass again. But what do? We tell ourselves stories. We have a whole story about things that happened. And this is now, Joseph should have a whole story. Now what happens next? Okay, let's see what happens next with Joseph's life. He's sold to the house of Potiphar. That actually works out well for him, because in Potiphar's house, he's successful. It actually goes very well for him. And he rises up to the top, and Potiphar loves him and makes him number one, and everything's fantastic. He's so popular. In fact, that Potiphar's wife really takes a shine to him. He's the one in control of the house, and she tries to write, the story. So one day he goes in, and she grabs onto his coat or his garment or whatever. He runs out of the room. She claims that he tried to be with her, and next thing we know, he's back in prison again. Fantastic. He's back in prison. Back in an Egyptian dungeon, which again didn't have like Sky TV and running water. He's back in a prison again. So what would we do? We'd have a story. But of course it's happened to me, because I'm Joseph, and I'm always going to be the one that unlucky Joe. These things happen to me the whole time, right? I'm the guy that I did so well in the house, but now I'm back in prison again. And because this is what happens to me. This is because of my story of my life, guys. Story of my life. And yet, here's the thing, Chevra, and this is the point I want to say to you. We see that even when he's in that prison the second time round, when the butler and the baker and the candlestick maker, which he doesn't get a mention in Torah, but obviously there was a candlestick maker, there wouldn't be a song about it, right? So you're not laughing, I don't know, maybe it's just going too fast.
Inside.
It was just about they were smiling inside. Okay, there's when the butler and the baker come in, right? And Yosef turns to them in that morning and he says to them, why is your face looking so downtrodden today? Why are you so sad? What, because you make me happy because you're in prison? He's like, why are you looking so sad? And then they say to him, we have these dreams. But Joseph was cognizant enough to notice how other people were doing. And therefore, somehow, he was in a good state himself. He was understanding there are other people around there. I need to ask you, how are you? Are you okay? What's wrong? Well, look, I mean, it's obvious what's wrong. You're in a dungeon. Why are you asking these guys what's wrong? The default position should be that you should be depressed and sad. But he wants to know what's wrong with these people. And it all culminates, my friends. It all culminates. This whole message that I want to give over today, it all culminates in the famous words that Joseph says when he meets with his brothers. And they finally reconnect. Okay, and this is what I've got here. It's all in source F. It's down here for you. And I want to thank in advance Ben Leon, who has volunteered to read for us source F. I want you to just follow very carefully in the words, because the words are there. They're not, as they say in Hebrew, they're not stum. It's not just stum, these words are there. So read for us, please, Ben. Joseph said to his brothers, source F, go.
Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still well? But his brothers could not answer him, so dumbfounded were they on account of him.
Okay, I'm giving you all here, by the way, the best of our Torahs. Like, is it Debbie?
Yes.
When you have your Shpat meal coming up, probably December the 14th, you'll have the best of our Torah for people on the table. They're going to be blown away by this, because this is in Parshas Vayigash. Vayigash is when Joseph finally says to his brothers, it's me, it's Joseph, right? Hello. Joseph, is it really you? The truth is that Andrew and Rebbe got it completely wrong, because it's not, Joseph is telling them, it's me. They don't say, is it really you? He's saying, it's me, I'm Yosef, and the brothers can't speak. They're like so dumbfounded, like, whoa. We thought we sold you. What? They're like dumbfounded, they can't say anything. So Joseph now continues. Ben, turn the page. Give us that narrative, as if Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd were with us in the room.
Then Joseph said to his brothers, come forward to me. And when they came forward, he said, I am your brother Joseph, he whom you sold into Egypt.
Okay, now he realizes that they are completely scared now, because he's going to kill them probably, right? They sold him. They sold the word, you sold into Egypt. Carry on now.
Now, do not be distressed or reproach yourselves, because you sold me here. It was to save life that God sent me ahead of you.
Okay, now let's read the Hebrew, because the Hebrew is beautiful. Just pop over. I'll translate it again. Va'ata. Now, and then bold. Al te'atzvu. Don't be sad. Va'al yicha be'einechem. And don't be reproaching within your eyes. Ki machaltem oisi hena. Because you might be saying to yourself, oh, we sold Joseph here. Because you think you sold me, right? You will think that I'm going to be angry with you because you somehow, you think it's because you think you sold me? You think you sold me? No. Ki lemechia shalchani Elokim lifnechem. This is all part of a plan that Hashem had to feed all of the world. That's why I was sent on this mission, to feed the world. This is why it happened. You thought you were selling me. You weren't selling me. I was actually sent on a mission. Carry on, Ben, in your most beautiful Shakespearean way.
It is now 2 years that there has been famine in the land, and there are still 5 years to come in which there shall be no yield from tilling. God has sent me ahead of you to ensure your survival on earth and to save your lives in an extraordinary deliverance.
Okay, this is saying like you thought it was no, I was sent on a mission. And now this again, va'ata, he says again the word va'ata, and now, this word is repeated, va'ata, and now. Lo atem shalachtem oisi heina. You think it was you sending me. No, it wasn't. You didn't send me. Ki Elokim, Hashem sent me. Don't go thinking that it was you that sent me. That it was all part of Hashem's plan. Ki Elokim, Again, in English, Ben read it, so it was not.
So it's not you who sent me here, but Hashem, who has made me a father to Pharaoh, lord of all his household, and ruler over the whole land of Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Now hurry back to my father and say to him, thus says your son Joseph, God has made me lord of all Egypt. Come down to me without delay.
Okay, so pause a second. Now, you could look at this and say, well, maybe Joseph was just like, maybe he was pretending. Like maybe he was just unemotional. Maybe after all those years of just being, you know, away from his mother for many years, father, prisoner, then, you know, on a camel train, and then being thrown back into dungeons, and just maybe he just like totally unemotional. Maybe that's his personality. He's an unemotional personality, and he's just like, oh look, it's my brothers. Well, don't worry, you know, like it's all God's plan. Maybe maybe he lacks emotion. Maybe you can switch off the emotional tap. There are people that are like that. They just don't feel any emotion, so therefore bad things happen to them. They can just roll with the punches because they just shut themselves off so much. You can do whatever you want to me. I don't care. I don't feel anything. But yet we see that actually Joseph is the most emotional. He's weeping the whole time. Every 2 minutes, Joseph's crying. He's one of the most emotional of all the forefathers we see. He's weeping, weeping, weeping. And when he meets his father, he's weeping. When he meets his brother Benjamin, he's weeping. He's always crying. So it's not that he shut off his emotions, but rather what we see here is that he's saying, Shalachtani, I was sent. I've been sent, not sold. This is the big thing that I want to, and again, this is a lot of these ideas I heard from Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson around 3 years ago. 2 years ago, I went for a walk in Kenwood, and I heard this share from him, and I was like blown away, and I think about it the whole time. So I knew I had to start with this one, because this is probably the most powerful of all the lessons I'll teach you. Because it's a mindset shift. It's literally the reframe of reframes. When you're in a situation which is difficult, tough, hard, you feel I can't do this, and you stop and you say to yourself, you know what? I wasn't sold into this. I was sent into this. Because what is sold the connotation of sold is that it's out of your control, that you have no permission, that you never gave permission, that you never gave consent. When you sell something, you don't ask the thing that wants to be sold. But when you send someone on a mission, you have to check first that they're okay with it. Right? If I'm sending a soldier on a mission, I have to first check that they're good enough to do it, right? I have to check that they can do it, and I have to be, I have to make sure they're able to know and they have the abilities before they send them on that mission. If I sell something, I don't ask the car, do you want to be sold? I don't ask someone that a slave was never asked, so they want to be sold into slavery. Selling is out of your control. But when you are sent on a mission, it means that you have chosen this. You've chosen this mission. Interesting enough, it's in a very deep way. There's sort of the deepest sources tell us that every soul before it comes down into this world is given a mission, and it's asked, "Are you okay with this mission? Are you okay to do it?" And the soul basically says yes or no. I'm up for it. I'm not up for it. I can do it or I can't do it. So weirdly enough, as strange as it may be, even the most difficult situations that we go through, somehow our soul actually accepted a mission at a certain point in time to come down and go through something really difficult. And sometimes I'm not trying to minimize it in any way. Things in life can be extremely difficult. The challenges and the struggles can be absolutely overwhelming. But somehow when you flick that switch and you go from like, oh, I've been sold into this I was sold into this scenario, it means that it's out of my control and there's nothing I can do about it. But when you say the words, I was sent here, it means there's something for me to do here. There's something for me to do in this situation. There's something that I can do. There's some role that I have to play. There's some tikkun, there's some fixing that I have a role to do. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's pushing my buttons. Yes, I don't know how I'll get through it, but somehow I was sent here because I can get through it, and there's something I need to learn. There's something I need to teach, and there's something that I will grow through this whole scenario. I will grow through it because I was sent, not sold.
Well, that's like that is the journey of the hero.
There you go, Bobby. The hero's journey.
The hero's journey, yeah, absolutely. By what's his name?
Joseph, the guy who wrote Hearts of Darkness, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Is it? I think so.
The hero has 1,000 faces.
Yeah. I spoke about this to the same guy who's got the negative feedback loop, who came to speak to me, and we spoke about the hero's journey. If you guys are everyone familiar with this idea of the hero's journey? The hero's journey is the idea that every single sort of story you read that has
every hero's journey, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's the genre, especially in Greek mythology, but also beyond Greek mythology. Almost every Disney film you ever will see has the same theme, which is that everything was fine, that everything gets completely messed up, and one person has to go on a mission, on a journey of self-discovery in order to fix everything up again at the end. Like, it always goes along that.
But they never intended to start that.
Yeah, they never chose in the first place. They were thrown into
yeah.
it, and then they have to work it out. And then you stop and you say, well, what have I got to learn? Like, what am I learning from this? Like, I'm in this situation. What can I learn in this dark place? What can I learn from this? And that's Joseph, because like I said, if you would interview Joseph as he's going down to Egypt, it's probable that he wasn't saying to himself like, this is my life story, it's so despairing, but rather, okay, look, there's something I've got to go down to Egypt. I don't know why, but there's something here that I have to do. Because he maintains that equilibrium throughout his whole life. You see that later on, he's like kind of in charge of all of Egypt. He doesn't become some big-headed, egotistical maniac. Now that he's the head of the country, he maintains that constantly, this sense of humility. Like, I'm here for a reason. I've been sent. I wasn't sold into this. And I'm telling you, this is probably one of the most powerful lessons that I've learned for myself in my own life. And I teach people, when I go through with people, it makes such a difference. That next time you find yourself in a situation which is really tough, and it can go on for a very long time. We're not talking about things that last for 2 minutes. It can happen sometimes for like even years. But that change of perspective, that reframe number 1 of our 6-part series is just a mantra: sent, not sold. I've been sent here. If I've been sent here, then there must be a deeper purpose, and I've got to find out what I need to do. I can't change the narrative. I can't change the words, but I can change the way I'm looking at it. I can change the way I'm dealing with it, and I'm rolling with it. And I wanted to kind of start off today with this as like the first one that I've got a quote here from Rabbi Warren Gospel. I think I saw a hand up. Arnold, did you have a hand up? Sorry, were you going to make a point? I wasn't sure.
No,
sorry.
thank you.
Anyone else? Please, the floor is open. If anyone has any questions at this point, or anything to share on this, it's very. I'm sure, like I said, you probably have much more wisdom than I do, everyone in this room. But this should be a space for people to kind of add their points. Please.
The only thing that it makes me think of is my late father, who was a survivor of the Shoah, and when he taught in schools, he was asked, "What made you survive? What got you through?" And his was very similar. It was, he did not believe it was the end of his story. So therefore, in the same way, he was here on a mission. This wasn't the end of it. He had to survive. So very similar.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. There's some story that he's living through, and it's not over yet. Wow, beautiful. Thank you so much for saying that. I will use that in future classes. What was his name?
Jack Kagan.
Jack Kagan. Is there a book or something that makes... What's the book called?
Surviving the Holocaust with the Jewish Russian partisans.
Right. Okay. I've definitely seen that somewhere. And that name. That's why I knew the name was like famous.
He spoke everywhere.
Yeah.
That was his mission.
Okay. Wow. Brilliant. That's why when you said your name, I was sorry I heard it somewhere. Thank you so much for sharing. Anyone else before we go? This is a really nice quote from Chief Rabbi Gonstein from South Africa. So Andy, you can read it because in homage to your ex-Chief Rabbi. Source G. This brings out the point again. It's about the story of the life and how we perceive it. Go Andy.
We make a choice every day about how we tell the story of our lives. Whether we construct a narrative that is pessimistic or adopt a positive outlook on life. To construct a positive narrative is not to deny the pain or the difficulties. It is to frame those experiences in a broader context, appreciating our blessings and finding meaning even in the darkness. But the power of the narrative goes beyond positivity and negativity. Storytelling has the capacity to transform our lives. Excuse me.
That's all right. Do you want to continue? I can take over if you prefer.
Yeah,
fine. Yeah, I felt bad. Storytelling has the capacity to transform our lives. That's what I'm saying, the whole thing again about the story we tell ourselves, the impala that just goes back to eating the grass, and the human that now will tell a whole story about their life. Storytelling has the capacity to transform our lives, to make everything we do meaningful. It can tell us who we are and why we're here. And this is the true power of the Torah. The Torah tells the story of what it means to be a human being and what it means to live with purpose, and that is the grand design. And there is a grand design to the world and a grand meaning to our existence. And like I say, if you take it from this more sort of Kabbalistic perspective of the soul, is that every soul has a mission, accepts that mission, and gets sent on that mission in this world, and therefore even in the darkest places, it's still somehow on that mission. And when it can connect to that, when it can like recall that point, oftentimes it can lift a person up in even the darkest places, I find. I've also brought a lovely quote from Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, the source H, of which Mark hasn't read yet. So Mark has volunteered to read source H. Thank you.
I'll do my best. I haven't got my glasses.
That's okay.
It is by telling stories that we make sense of our lives and the life of our people. And it is by allowing the present to reshape our understanding of the past that we redeem history and make it live in a positive force in our lives. I believe that the way we write the next chapter in our lives affects all the others that have come before. By action in the future, we can redeem much of the
pain of the past. Beautiful. And again, he's writing out on Pashas Vayigash. It's a common conversation back in 2020. That this is why Joseph's those words he says, Ki lemechia shalachani al Elokim, you know, Hashem sent me. Don't you, the brothers, you're all going to be you're all so scared right now, but just remember, just understand that, like, I was sent here, and it wasn't even you that sent me. You didn't send me. Hashem sent me on this mission. And all of us, somehow, we weren't sold, we were sent. And I think, like I say, just as I finish today's class, just as reframe number 1, next week we're going to do something else really cool. I'm going to show you it's going to be very different. It's from a different part of the Torah. It's a different idea. It's not about a personality. It's more conceptual, but it's just ideas that we can pull out. And I feel it's helpful for us to hear it to ourselves and also to share with other people. That oftentimes people come our way that sometimes you're going to meet somebody that needs to hear this word. They need to hear this, that like going through a difficult time, and you can tell them, say, sent, not sold, and it can make all the difference. Andy?
Do you think that Joseph said that because somewhere deep down he might have felt he was sold down the river, but he wanted to maintain a relationship with the brothers on his freedom?
Well, I think the fact that he keeps reiterating this point, like that I was sent here, so that's, I think, what strongly got him through it. Like, he believed that it wasn't just placating his brothers. Like, don't worry, like, I'll make you feel better. It wasn't you. I think that's how he lived. That's how he survived. And 22 years away from his father, 22 years away from his family. I mean, that's a long time.
That the brothers are no longer significant because he was on the much bigger mission.
He wasn't thinking about that. He wasn't sitting there plotting the whole time, like maybe just like what I'm going to do when I see them again. But like, okay, look, that happened, and I'm not going to focus and spend too much energy hating them.
It's changing the picture.
Yeah, exactly. It's completely reframed. Bobby on line 13.
Sorry, I mean, maybe them turning up is that moment of realization. Maybe he was there, he did all the stuff he did, you know, but then he realizes it's for his own people, it's for his own family. So maybe, even though he just got involved and maybe never really forgot about his brothers and his family, but wasn't doing anything in a particular way for that, when it all comes together, maybe that was the major budding of it. Maybe that's how he could see it and make it a phrase at that time.
So listen, Chera, this is class number 1. And it's called Sent Not Sold, and it's just a lovely little mantra to walk away with. Like, just like, it can just literally change a life, whether it's our own lives or others' lives. Sent Not Sold. And sometimes people will struggle to hear it, and they'll be like, yeah, you don't know what I'm going through. But the reality is that, you know, it doesn't change. We've got to be very careful. You know, oftentimes, you know, I'm going to share something quite interesting with you now. That when people talk about the idea of faith and trust in Hashem, we call it emunah and bitachon, right? So people get confused with it. There's an expression that says "Kol man David Rahman l'tav Avid," which it's an Aramaic term, which means everything God does is for the good. But do you know what? There are many contemporary rabbis that say that it's not that whatever Hashem does is good, i.e., like you're going through pain. It's good. It's good you're going through the pain. It's not how you're meant to feel. The real emunah bitachon, having emunah and bitachon, having faith and trust, is that it might not be good, but when I have emunah and bitachon, I know that I don't know why you're doing this, but I know there's a reason why you're doing it. That's what true emunah and bitachon is. I don't know why you're doing it, but I know must be a reason why it's happening, and I'm willing to just go with that, and I can find some light in that darkness, because I know there must be a reason why. Doesn't mean that it's good, and I think it can be very difficult. We say, oh, it's good for you, it's good for you. It's not good, doesn't feel good, it's not good, but there is a reason why it's happening. And this, number one, for our reframing, I was sent on soul, is just a beautiful opening into this whole journey we'll go on. And like I said,